And because I kept saying it last week.
Yep. Welcome once again to Clinical Theurgy, Episode 6. We still don't have specified dates on this game because I still can't figure out where in the timeline it fits. So, where did we leave off last week?
Someone just got laid.
Yeah, so let's see. Looks like we were investigating the one company that they have like this device that allows them to like see if they like things are going to fail. Like they do like quality assurance on items and that kind of thing. And so we were investigating, and we met up with their private investigator, and he and Brianna hit it off, and they had a date, and it had a happy ending.
Like that.
Usually you have to pay more for that.
What else happened? What?
I have a case file.
Yeah, and you did some research stuff, and then Ghoulron had a little adventure breaking in, and his goblin buddies, and then later him and I went back to Nico's place and talked to him, and some goblins want to do me, apparently. That's fun.
It's only about 5 or 6 of them that time.
Yeah, sorry, buds. Goblins ain't my type.
Oh, but they'll never climb that mountain then.
Nope, they won't. They can keep trying, but it ain't gonna happen.
Every goblin needs a mountain.
Unfortunately, I will not be said mountain.
Well, that's sad because the other nearby ones are quite a ways away. So
It's too bad because
I mean, the actual mountains, not.
I was like, another female of my stature?
No, I was using. There are actually a few. The knights have quite a number of people, both male and female.
Goblins. There's plenty of other people you can go climb.
I mean, that's not to say they haven't tried.
You could have gotten Ghoulron out of trouble. Maybe you could have, made him forget what they saw.
I would rather the goblins turn him in than go there. Nah,
Then turn you out?
Ghoulron can go get questioned for all I care.
And so Ghoulron will be. Ghoulron will not be joining you guys tonight. Or at least not for the first part of the day. As you will find out when you get into the ministry in the morning. Ghoulron is currently being detained on the allegation of breaking and entering. It is said that a group of goblins came in, reported him for breaking and entering. One of them specifically submitted to memory exchange, and in doing so, they have evidence enough to keep Ghoulron for questioning. And Ghoulron was picked up this morning and is currently with the knights at the Knightsbridge Barracks.
Bummer, dude.
He did what?
Yes, I was a bit confused myself. Oh, speaking of which, this sounds like a very interesting coincidence, so maybe some of you could help me out. Yesterday, we had reports of a break-in. The last person seen in that area happened to be, the last person not normally seen in that area, and that we know has a bit of a background for invasion of privacy, happened to be a certain investigator. A gentleman by the name of Taran. Would any of you know whether or not he's connected to something that might have happened over there? I don't want to give any details quite yet until we've got like a final decision on things. But perhaps one of you knows. You were the last that we know of ours to speak with him.
He didn't outright give us a name, did he?
I think you got his name.
Well, I would
pretty
have
sure
his name.
we did, and at least for sure Brianna got his name.
Yeah, Brianna got a file from Tehran.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's what we're calling it.
Wasn't he saying to you? He was like, a file might come across the desk tomorrow. You just say you were with me all night.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
that's
so
fishy.
so Brianna will speak up and she'll be like, well, actually, I met with Tehran last night and I don't think he was over in that neighborhood. We had a dinner and discussed his investigation.
Oh, how convenient! Yet again, somebody there to vouch for him.
Is that
always got
geographically
somebody.
correct? Like that wouldn't be in the same area that they were going out to eat or whatever?
It's not too far. They're not too far from each other. Like, it would only be a few minutes to step away from one to the other.
Okay.
And it would depend on when he had taken the action and whatnot. They can only estimate a relative time of day that things happened.
Oh, and did they give us that information?
No, they're like, right now they have very, very like minimal facts on it. They just know that some information went missing. Somebody claimed they had spotted him in the area. He's like a known candidate to be in an area when things go missing. And so like they put the one and one together and they were like, well, we should probably ask the last people who've encountered that we know have encountered him directly.
Does that add up with what I know of about him?
I
mean, there probably wouldn't be that much.
mean, you know that somehow he's gotten information that he shouldn't have. Like, on the regular, he's always got that one extra piece of information that for some reason the Ministry can't find.
And I guess, how do I put this? Like, generally, is that information typically, like, from the stuff I've been able to tell, is that more for a selfish or a selfless purpose, or like?
I mean, he's become one of the most well-renowned private investigators in the city of Knightsbridge. That's probably added to it, but also from what you can tell, he seems like exceptionally devoted to this kind of stuff anyway. So it might be like a blend of the two. It might be that kind of tenacity he has to make sure problems get solved, but also like you can't solve problems if people don't trust you to solve problems. And so you kind of have to make a name for himself. You could probably like piece out if you spent some time like, doing one of those like line boards.
Yeah.
You could probably eventually piece out like the situations where he probably did it for prosperity and the other situations where he probably did it because like he genuinely knew if the Ministry got their hands on the information, it was probably going to result in like the Ministry getting it all, fucked up because somebody of importance would want to step in and take control of the case and make a big deal out of it.
So it seems more so for neutral, but not necessarily for personal gain.
Yeah. He doesn't strike you as the kind of person that... do you have any ranks in sense motive?
I don't know. I haven't used it yet. No, I don't have any ranks in it.
Okay. You can give me a sense motive.
I have a modifier.
We'll see what it comes out to. Oh, actually... So you get the general impression that, like, yeah, he's probably on more of the neutral spectrum. He doesn't seem exceptionally selfish, but yet, like, he doesn't always put his neck out for people. There are plenty of circumstances where he's very easily, like, let people go because he felt like it was essential to whatever needed to be done. So
okay. So I don't necessarily feel inclined to dig deeper into this situation for them.
No, not necessarily. That would be up to whether or not you felt like there was some personal value to gain from it.
Yeah, if I felt like he was doing evil things and he was like trying to like swindle people, which I didn't think so from the beginning, but based on that information from the file, if I felt like that was kind of...
Are you playing a paranoia investigator?
No, actually I'm not.
Oh, like you're trying to find... You're troubleshooting for the evil people and then trying to put away all the other evil people?
If he was being evil, I would want to turn him into the authorities because he's evil.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, evil people are doing evil things.
Okay, troubleshooter.
Look, his evil is small scale and specifically for his own personal gain.
Okay.
It's all about weighing it against, the outcome of it, and his is just for personal gain. So then he would be evil, but it's not.
All right. So, as of this morning, You are all informed that there have been no new cases that have come across the desk that match this MO. She makes sure to get as much of a debriefing as she can. I know that there's probably information that won't be shared with her. I'd assume, unless somebody who has bonus information wants to share any of that information.
Sharing it with the person that's asking us the question.
Yes, with where's her name?
My bad. Yeah, for some reason I assumed it was a man, and I don't know why.
No,
You said her, it threw me off.
Her
Like
name
Maha
is
or something.
What?
Wasn't it like Maha or something? Like
Yes, that is exactly it. I don't know why I cannot find her name.
Maharaja. Got it.
Her name is not Maharaja.
that? Is Maha some longer name, but she short goes by Maha.
Yes.
You put it in one of our channels.
I did. I have notes all over the place, and it really drives me crazy that I have not done a good job consolidating these. I'm way better than I used to be, because it used to be that I tried to keep all this shit in my head.
It's in the CT camp notes, Mahadevadus.
Excellent. Thank you.
I guess I don't explicitly know where they went to eat anyways, so.
Okay.
But, yep, no, I have no further information based solely on this case that I would be able to provide.
All right. She asked that if you have any additional leads, please follow up on them. In the meantime, they've got other people taking care of your usual paperwork, so if you can kind of focus on that, that would be of utmost value, and we'll let you know if anything else comes up.
Of course.
So, what do the three of you want to do?
I'd probably recommend us go find a room to just sit down and chat, because obviously I know that we all had different things we kind of went off to do at the evening of last night, and probably want to just sit and talk about it all. And
do you want to use one of the conference rooms, or do you want to take this to a different location and have this discussion?
I would probably just suggest going to a conference room unless someone wants to pipe up and recommend going somewhere else. But I don't know that anything maybe sensitive has been figured out, so I would just be suggesting one of the conference rooms.
Okay.
What do we know about the conference rooms as far as their
There is some level of monitoring that happens technically outside of the conference rooms. Inside of the conference rooms isn't directly monitored, but it's unknown how much information can be picked up from the monitoring that occurs outside of the conference room. This place, much like what you saw at Assurance, has scrying sensors that are built into specific places, specifically designed to pick up information, both visual and auditory.
Okay. If we have another place to go, I would recommend going to a different place, just in the off chance that they pick up information. That
would be up to the three of you as to where you think you'd want to go. You can hit up a place in town. You can go to one of your homes. I'm assuming Elizabeth would not recommend her home.
You guys are welcome to, come visit my home, such as it is, if you want.
Sure.
All right. So you head over to where Brianna is staying. Brianna, I believe we had discussed you are staying basically connected to one of the inns. So it's a bit small in here, but the three of you can manage to fit inside. It's probably not very well decorated. You live on kind of a modest salary right now. And being in an inn, of course, that means that the cost overall of living here would be higher than average. But there are some things that are nice and always provided for you, especially because you've kind of worked out an arrangement where you'll make whatever time you can to play here under the partial agreement you have that you're allowed to, and that afterwards you'll keep your agreement to play for them once you've officially acquired your license. So yeah, it is very quiet right now because it is early enough in the day, and the three of you can have a nice little conversation.
All right. So Brianna, part of her motive for wanting to go to the apartment is she wants to change into some fresh clothing. So she'll invite the others to make themselves at home and says, "I'll just be a moment," and changes into
Okay.
set of clothing.
Yeah, so to clarify something that is, I think, important and worth noting, your like bathroom. There are bathrooms here. Like you have separate places to use the facilities. Unless you happen to be exceptionally poor, these things are available to you in a magic fashion. What was that perception?
I was gonna I guess I didn't know if it would be perception or investigate, but I was gonna when we get to the house, I was gonna kind of look around the house and see, not like searching for anything in particular, but just kind of seeing what was going on.
Okay, this would be a perception is a good way to start. Investigate is normally putting together the clues you've gained from perception.
Yeah.
So you are looking about the house. So that's a good perception. Give me an investigate to go along with it.
Yeah, just kind of trying to get a better idea of who this person is.
Okay. So are there any minor secrets that Brianna might be trying to keep?
I mean,
minor these would be like little tiny things. With a 14, he's not going to get a lot, but
drawers or anything. But like looking at the pictures that are out and stuff like that.
Right.
This underwear.
This would be the kind of thing where like you might notice, for example, that like she's into like some sort of specific animal, or like you might notice like a pattern of colors that's more common around the room. So give us like two minor little secrets about Brianna.
Okay, so Brianna she has a lot of things that have like cats on them. Like she likes cats a lot, and the color schemes you would notice would probably be like cooler colors like purples and blues and that kind of thing. And I don't know how high that. Well, would she actually? She wouldn't really have a picture of her family, would she?
Probably not. I mean, you might keep that, but that would probably be more in a secret place. Because you wouldn't want somebody ever bringing up like, "Oh, is this your family?" Like that would be a real pain in the butt. So that's probably hidden away. But I think that itself would be its own kind of thing that you might be able to pick up. Is that Antaeus would notice there's like no pictures of family anywhere to be found. There's pictures of cats, but no pictures of family.
There are no cats in the house, though, right?
There are no cat. Well, this is an inn. This is an inn room, so there's definitely not any cats in here. Knightsbridge also, it's very rare to find anybody with pets. Pets tend to be very pricey to kind of keep. So you don't typically see much of them.
Would the inn possibly have like a house cat that would like do the
I will give you
Herman?
I will give you a random chance that they do.
Oh, just like Tom's Inn, right, Steve?
No, not like Tom's Inn.
Oh.
They unfortunately do not have a cat.
Oh.
I gave it 50-50.
Regardless, I would say that he probably would see that there's a small pouch of cat treats, like maybe Brianna will feed a stray cat if she sees it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
She goes walking around looking for kitty.
Yeah, I imagine at this point Antaeus is like, "This is the weirdest drug I've ever tasted."
That's odd that she would keep treats that taste like this around the house.
It's probably as he's doing that Brianna would come out in a different outfit.
I mean, I'm assuming they're not like marked cat treats.
They are not marked cat
sack
treats.
Of money with dollar signs on it and shit. Okay.
Oh, Antaeus, what are you doing? Those aren't people food.
Oh, that would explain the taste. That makes sense.
I keep those for like cats that I might see in the street.
That's not a common occurrence around here, is that?
I mean,
doesn't not happen. It is a rarity, but it's a nice thing to have if you really like cats.
Oh, that's nice, I suppose. That also explains they do smell quite pungent, I suppose.
Yes. I'm sorry. Like, I should have offered you something. I'm
sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Cool.
That's fine. I was just trying to see what like your house situation was. Maybe learn a little more. Not snooping or anything, but I don't know too much about you, so I thought maybe this would help.
No, it's fine. I'm sure Elizabeth would have spoken up if you'd been like, I don't know, looking for something bad. But yeah.
Oh no, I was just admiring the pictures and the cool color schemes. It's pleasant. It's very soothing.
Brianna, did you sleep with the investigator?
Brianna?
Love Elizabeth.
Oh yeah,
Brianna,
that was the purpose.
just kind of her eyes get big and her jaws drop and she's like blushing a little bit. She's like, why do you think I had to change my clothes?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you just like were really sweaty.
You are wearing
Got some BO.
You were wearing the same clothes as yesterday, so it makes sense that you would want to change.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was a very fruitful meeting. He gave me some files on his investigation to help our investigation.
Oh, specifically the one that he's currently working on?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I found out that the
Nice. You should sleep with people on every case we work.
only if they're so inclined. Anyway, yeah. Apparently, the Society of Security was running checks like on the security of the firm, and they every time said that it was fine. It was impossible for there to be a break-in. They all got good ratings. But the owner of
Ego?
Was that his name?
Ego is the name of the owner of the Society of Security.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Ego. Ego. The last inspection before the break-in occurred, he outsourced it to one of his newer guys, and I mean the report still came back and said that everything was fine, but obviously it wasn't. So that seems pretty curious to me, and to Taron as well. And at this point, Brianna's got the file, and she'll pass it around so the others can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a look at it and see if any of the names match up.
Absolutely. Give me some investigation work.
All right. I think it was mostly like just Ego, and I don't think I really came across aside from his parents' names.
So yeah, with your investigation, looking through here, you would notice something that you didn't think about before. There is a notation that Ego regularly has like there's a regular amount of like interns of sorts that like come in to work for Ego. They're all kind of understudies working in the field of like some sort of magical security in some way, trying to learn something about the industry itself. However, one thing that you do tend to find is that there's a bit of a spike in terms of linkage between numbers of his interns and numbers of his. There's like a correlation between his internships and his interns and a proclivity for being involved in the annual like I forgot the term that I gave you guys, and I didn't fucking write it down because or I did and I put it in a document I can't find.
Green Bean Festival.
No, there's an organization. Let me see if I can find the notes. Hang on. I really wish I'd have put down the name. But I thought I would have it stuck in my head, but I cannot find it at the moment.
What's the name? What do they do?
There's basically there's a sort of like secret rogues guild of sorts that goes around like committing very large scale thefts, heists.
Where have we heard this before?
And the every year they have kind of like a trial to see like who can enter into the guild, and it seems to be a regular thing that it's not all of them, but a large number of them end up being caught in relation to attempting to do their grand trick to get noticed by the society.
So it's a common enough thing that like there are terms like grand trick and stuff people use to describe.
Yeah, the grand trick is something that is known of. Every year they elect like the most grand of the tricks to like enter into the people who perform them to enter into their fold. It's kind of like an initiation ritual. And go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Do these names of the people like committing these, or at least the list that we have, do they match up at all with the like if there is a list of like victims, like is there like a correlation, like is it like
no, there's no correlation between
circle?
Victims necessarily and actions.
So it could be like they're doing this to just rich people in town that are not part of this or anything like that.
Yeah, a lot of what you've seen so far has been a lot of linkage between like similar patterns. Like the person will investigate a situation, and then later on there will be a theft that occurs on a system that might, on a place that might have the same like configuration as this other place. But the reason they get caught is there's something about that configuration that like is different than what they saw in the other location. It's just different enough to create a problem.
And there's a certain, you said it's an annual thing, so there's like a certain time of year that this happens generally.
This is another one of those times of year that's coming up. That's part of why you were put on this case. Is they've got a number of these cases kind of flooding in. This time of year, it's like a very heavy thing to deal with. And the ministry has been flooded with it. And when you first got handed your case, like it was thought, oh, this is going to be a pretty minor thing. And the second case has similar patterns, but they still don't necessarily, like they can't disprove that it wasn't an inside job. So you guys got thrown on the case, to just kind of look into.
And Nico's case file, we've all looked at it, correct?
Yes.
So there is I'm assuming it's denoted what day or date they were his house was allegedly broken in.
Yes.
And it so happens it coincides with the time of year that this happens. I'm assuming.
It's still too early. The point at which the grand trick is going to be evaluated is coming up soon. Like there's a certain number of days spread, and that's in the coming days. But as it stands right now, there is no. It's not that time yet. Okay, so that would be too small for a grand trick. As in all honesty, as would be stealing this device from Assurance, because it's not. Well, it's a valuable device. It is not like something you could turn over to this group afterwards as your here is my presentation of what I can do, because they can't unload something like that. Like you can't, if it's something that is priceless, you legitimately can't unload it.
Yeah.
That's what makes it priceless.
Okay, I'll point out what I found out in the file to everyone else.
Do we think that perhaps they're practicing for whatever the grand trick is going to be?
From what I could tell, it seems possible, but probably unlikely, given that that Nico had essentially just a trap door with stuff in it. And this seems to be more high scale, but not things with no value to them that are invaluable. So I don't know that he would have that much money, but I also think that probably the level of intricacy of his security was probably not high enough. But I don't know. There still could be some kind of link. I'm not ruling it out per se, but doesn't seem to be a direct correlation between the two, given this information.
I was wondering if perhaps we might track down Ego and talk to him and see, what he thinks of all of this. I mean, maybe he can provide some sort of detail that would, help us figure out who's doing these things.
And Ego is local, right?
Yeah, Ego lives within Knightsbridge.
see if I know anything about where Ego's whereabouts.
Oh yeah, you know where Ego's off. You know where Ego's office is. Like, you know quite a bit about him. You've read through quite a number of files related to him. Mostly by passing. Like, you've come across things as you were looking over other things. Ego was previously an inmate in the Knightsbridge dungeons. The dungeons isn't as bad as it sounds. The dungeons is like, a lot of things here are named like classically. So the dungeons is like their prison system that they keep people in. Ego was in the dungeons for. I actually have this note. Did I put a number of years, or did I just put a number of years? So he has been in prison for about 10 years. After he got out, he kind of decided to make a better name for himself. And so he worked to create like a company that was dedicated to the idea of getting people more in line with being able to secure themselves against people like him. Being able to make themselves essentially impervious to the things that he could do. It is, with a 32, it's believed that Ego got caught during his attempt to get into the Secret Rogue Society. And in doing so, like, his time in prison kind of changed his perspective. It brought him to realize that, like, he could actually, instead of using his skills to get into this group, he could potentially use his skills to create ways to catch people in this group, or even perhaps to just stop this group from being capable of doing these things in general. And at the same time, it would give him a way to make a lot of money for himself. And so he began the Society of Security. Is that what it was called? Yeah, the Society of Security.
Okay, I'll relay that information.
He doesn't sound like he's any friend to, the Rogues Guild or anything like that. But I feel like that maybe he'll even know who the goblin was that installed the trapdoor at Nico's house.
Perhaps. I'm not sure if it's out of bitterness that he's trying to get back at him, or if it's just a way that he could also make a lot of money, but he very well could know who did install the trapdoor as well. I'm sure he would have logs of it, being a security company.
I mean, who better to know how to guard treasure than a former thief?
True. Nico's house was broken into, was it years ago, or
no,
was it?
A couple days ago.
Oh, okay. What am I thinking of then?
Nico had the trap door installed a few years ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And I'm assuming that these records aren't that recent.
No.
To like, okay. Well, if they would have caught him, they wouldn't be asking us to do it anyways. Right. So, are there any repeat offenders on there, or?
No, nobody's been able to be a repeat offender. Most of the people are still locked up because, again, they were attempting a grand trick, which often involved the theft of something high enough in value that you end up locked away in the dungeons for quite some time. Failing a grand trick is a pretty bad thing because normally you're talking about the high tens to like mid hundreds of thousands of gold.
So life in prison kind of thing.
It's not life. It's like a very large quantity of time, though.
I mean, theoretically, couldn't be like someone who's getting ready to perform this grand trick. Couldn't the device that was just stolen potentially help them in doing that?
Potentially. It seems more likely than them trying to steal it for their grand trick.
Yeah, I was more thinking like if they're trying to steal something way bigger, but they're not really sure where the weak points are to like get into it, stealing the device, to use the device to figure out where the weak points are, something in the security to figure out how to like, I don't know, more effectively.
I thought that when I was having dinner with Taryn, and of course you all wouldn't have known this, but when I was having dinner with Taryn, didn't he say that he thought it was unlikely that they would be using the device for that purpose, though?
He was uncertain. It didn't seem necessarily like... It didn't seem as plausible, right? Because it looks for mechanical defects, not implicit magical defects. And so any security on the outside would thwart that. But I don't think he got too much into detail about that. You can give me a retroactive diplomacy check to see how much information you might have gotten out of him about that.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, this town is it typically you said it was classical as far as the dungeons and stuff like that.
Things are named classically.
Yeah, is the architecture similar in the sense that they're mostly just brick and mortar houses kind of?
No, there's a good mix of architecture. So the wealthy tend to live in architecture that looks very classical. You'll see a lot of stone buildings. A lot of the wealthy like to live in things that look almost like small versions of keeps. With these large kind of walls or fences that wrap around their property. A lot of the buildings are kind of a bit grandiose. As you look at the ministry building or the barracks building, it has a little bit more grandeur to it. There's a lot of thick stone infrastructure or a lot of pillaring here and there. But when you start looking at the middle class to lower class housing, you find that it becomes more industrialized, a lot more like what you would expect to find in, say, early to mid 1900s architecture. So big high rises or apartment buildings that are 4, 5, 6 stories tall. And a lot of it is either brickwork or some other kind of stonework, a little bit of woodwork here. When you get to the poor areas, you'll see more woodwork that's happening in a lot of that. But it is more of a modern fashion than you would compare it to a kind of medieval fashion. The further into the poorer territories you get.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out whether or not that was something that they would be able to use on an individual's house, if the level of technology or whatever, mechanical technology or whatever would be, if they could use it or to figure that out.
No, something you'll have learned from a lot of what you're looking at is that people opt for magical security where they can get it. A lot of people don't feel comfortable with mechanical security. This is if you think about it, this is kind of the inverse of how practicality versus technicality has worked in our society, right? Technicality isn't the right word, but technology has improved our society so much to a point that a person would prefer to secure their house with technology versus via practical means, because we've become so enamored with the idea that, and established with the idea that technology provides a better layer of security, that we would never move back to practicality if we can avoid it. Here, magic, arcana has basically done for society what technology has done for us. People don't trust technology because it has the ability to fail. It's mechanical, it's moving parts. You can't really detect when something is failing. Magic is always there. You can always kind of see that hum of magic that tells you it's still working.
It's getting the difference between a watchdog and a security system.
Yes, only in this case, it's having a glowing manifestation of a phantom hound versus I can buy this robot dog that sometimes will just lay down and never wake up.
And one more thing, real quick, before I forget. I didn't mean to interrupt
It's okay.
the check. Are these people is everybody, or is it
predominantly
individuals that are being stolen from?
No.
Okay, so it's just a mix of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Brianna, with that check, you will. I need to backtrack. Do you remember the question? I'm a little off on the question. I have it's at the edge of my brain.
Yeah,
it was the diplomacy check to get more information about whether or not they would use the item to try to break in and steal a bigger item or something.
Okay.
When the other two were talking about whether that would happen, and I was recalling that during the dinner, I thought we had a conversation where Karen was talking about his opinion that he didn't think that they would use it, or he wasn't sure. Maybe,
Yes.
That they would
So with the 19, you're pretty sure like that's a very, very rational conclusion, and one that he had not yet written off. He hadn't found any proof that said like that wasn't a likely reason to be doing this. There's not a lot of reasons to steal an item like this, especially because it wouldn't have a lot of purposes. So he like kind of concurred with you that like it would make sense if you can get in. This is the perfect thing to find that thing on the inside that's weak enough to get you past whatever could not necessarily be secured in the same way by magic, or something that might be secured by magic, but still a flaw in the mechanism might give you an advantage over even the magic that is adding extra layers. Because is he like kind of explained, magic can only do so much, right? It can only enhance on what's already there so much. The example he uses is that like when you're talking to somebody that really doesn't have social skills, right? You have a person who they insist to you certain things that you just know are wrong. No amount of improving their speaking ability is going to necessarily take their lack of facts and make them truth. There is a point, but the less distance they are from being able to properly sell falsehoods as facts, the much harder it is going to be for you to take magic to improve them. And he references like a very old politician who used to try to do this a lot. He used to try to use magic to kind of push himself over in that category, but he really was already terrible at speaking naturally. And so what he was doing to magically enhance himself still didn't get him close to even the person he was running against who was not magically augmenting themselves during their speeches. And it became like a big selling point.
So then when the conversation goes in that direction, then Brianna will sort of perk up and she's like, oh yeah, Taryn and I were talking about that at dinner last night. And, he agrees that they might be, that might be a purpose for them stealing, what essentially is, a not very useful device outside of a certain narrow purpose.
Turn the wrong light. Keep going. Sorry.
I was trying to think of what my train of thought would be after that.
Your coworker just mentioned, oh yeah, casually, hey, during dinner we were talking about this.
Oh, that doesn't strike me as suspicious at all. Interesting.
I just imagine Elizabeth being like, well, were you talking or did you eat?
I think Elizabeth just assumed you didn't eat.
Yeah. I just assume you just went straight to like the sex. There wasn't food. It was like, are we eating? Or are we just gonna go get on with it?
That's what makes her so thin and small.
The food was kind of like a 2-drink minimum. You have to order something to be there, and it was just kind of a place to be there to get to the next place. Or that way you don't have to give them your address. It's like giving them your instant messenger name instead of giving them your phone number.
I feel like after you guys sit for a while and are talking about all the information you gathered last night, I'd be like, yeah, some goblins wanted to bang me. That's about all I got.
What? Were these the same ones that were outside of Nico's house?
Yeah.
Are they
really like me, apparently?
Wow. Why didn't you say yes?
That's a baby. I did not know what that noise was. I thought that was like a barnyard animal or something.
She has a pig rooting around in her house.
Yeah, I was like, what is this snorting?
Great, you ruined our immersion. Thanks. Thanks, baby.
My neighbor keeps a pig, and you're just hearing it from the next room over.
Brianna, goblins might be your size, but they're not my size.
You don't know. You don't know. Did you see what they were packing?
I don't want to see. No, we do not.
And you know what? Like 6 of them,
No.
that's probably equivalent to 1, right?
No. Hard pass. Hard pass.
I probably need a different rating on this channel.
You gave them a hard pass? Ew.
Good lord.
Is that what you call it when you're in an open relationship and your girlfriend allows you to see outside? Is that a hard pass?
They made that movie with Jason Sudeikis and the other guy, right? Oh. Totally worth it. That Daniel Tosh joke was totally worth it.
I'm gonna die now. Oh, that was very good. Thank you. I needed that after today.
So you were
Goron's
speaking
like
with the
being
goblins?
interrogated, and we're over here like talking about goblin trysts.
Why?
Well,
That's not beneficial to what we're looking into, though. I don't. Doing that would be helpful.
I love when
any
the coldly
information?
rational voice kicks in.
I mean, I don't know. You know, they might have a lot of information. They seem to see a lot of things. Apparently, they saw Goron breaking into Nico's house.
And there were 6 of them. That's 6 heads.
They probably would be more motivated by money, though, than physical.
I don't know. They seemed real interested.
In money?
Yes, let's go with money. Anyway, so what do you think, Elizabeth, about all of this information that we've gathered?
I have no fucking idea. I think we need to go talk to Ego. That's all I know. Oh, you're okay.
Oh. Poor sad pig soundy. That's gonna make the baby cry more. Stop that. Don't look at it like you're gonna eat it. It's not even looking.
Vor.
No! I'm gonna get deplatformed now because of you. Alright, so it sounds like the party's plan is to go meet up with Ego.
Indeed.
Alright. So, between the 3 of you, you are aware of where Ego is, where the Society of Secrets is. And you can head over to his building. The building for the Society of Secrets is not a terribly large building. And it is basically very, like, it's built into kind of a series of other offices that are stacked on top of each other. His is on the ground floor, and it has a very clean sign. It's decorated in a very, like, rustic style on both his door, and there's, like, the classic wooden sign that's kind of hanging perpendicular to the building, labeled Society of Secrets.
Is it like a large building, or is it like he's got
It's a
like
relatively, like, modest office.
SOS.
I guess is there any? I guess I'll look and see if there's anything that stands out about the building in and of itself. Like,
No, it's slightly nicer than your standard, like, kind of office complex, because all the front areas are front facing. Think of this kind of as if a lot of the steps are on the outside, so it's like each office, like above this one, has kind of a deck style, and the stairs kind of like wind you up to the top of each deck, and then you can kind of enter in. Ego being at the ground floor, like, has its own nice clean appeal. It has like a little area out front, like a small like pit of dirt with a little tiny like bush in it that's been well trimmed. It has a very warm feel to it. As warm as you could probably get. Like almost like the feeling you get when you come up to like an insurance office. You know, they tend to make it kind of warm on the outside so you don't realize how bad you're getting scammed.
Fantastic.
All right, so I will walk in. Is there a receptionist?
Nope. There is a goblin sitting behind a small desk inside of there. Around the office, there are a number of like various framed documents hanging around the office. Looking at these documents at a quick glance will tell you they're like certificates of security that he's produced for a large variety of different companies throughout Knightsbridge. Him kind of like, you know, in a way showing off, but also it acts as a way to promote like what his company has managed to do. He also has a register of on the back wall, like number of days without incident. And this setting has like been set down to 1 now. Which she has like another little sign next to it that says, ouch.
So Brianna will walk up to the goblin and say, "Hi there, I'm Brianna. I'm with the Ministry of Magic. I was hoping to speak with Ego."
I am Ego. You are quite a bright person. It's not often I get people of your positivity that come in. What business do you have here?
I feel like at this point I'd be like elbowing on Ateus and like, here we go again.
Is this the part of town that was had a break-in the other day, or we were being told about?
There've been a large number of break-ins.
Oh, okay. So it's not like an uncommon thing, unfortunately.
No, not this time of year. A lot of people are either doing practices or, you know, maybe just thinking they're doing part of the Grand District, or just trying to get away with it because a lot of crimes like don't get solved during this time period because there's not enough people to investigate.
Speaking of, like, what's the window on that? Is it like a week or like a?
It goes on for basically the whole month.
Oh, okay.
Like with the final week being the actual point that the test is being administered.
Okay.
So okay, so anyway, so Brianna's like, "Oh well, you know, I try to look at the sunny side of life, I guess." And she kind of giggles and she's like, actually we were investigating the break-in over at I've forgotten the company's name and I can't find it.
Assurance.
Assurance.
Like, it's Assurance.
Sorry. We were investigating the robbery over at Assurance, and you know, we just had some questions. Just wanted your professional opinion on some things.
Great questioning. You noticed that, like, only in that first moment that you encountered him was his attitude kind of positive. The minute you start, like, going into, now I've got questions to answer, his, like, attitude drops dramatically from, like, friendly to, oh, God, here we go again. Yeah, so Elizabeth, he's been through having people come in and just ask him questions about things that he's done. I mean, he's in the securities industry, and he doesn't seem like a very pleasant person in general. Like, his initial smile was that here's a nice person coming in, and then here come the stupid, annoying questions that everybody walks in with.
Can you answer these things for me so that I can do it myself and not have to pay you money?
Yep,
for it?
that's what he's expecting here. All right, what do you got?
Okay, so I've been speaking with Taryn. He's the investigator. He's the private investigator. They were hired over.
Oh, you've been talking to Taryn. We're talking about the same Taryn, right? We're talking about. I need to get his tone right, though. His vocal patterns right, though. Hold on. How did I lose? We're talking about Tarpinian, right? Right, Tarpinian?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Why are you talking to Tarpinian? He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's constantly trying to undermine my knowledge and my understanding. And I'm like the first person he comes to anytime he thinks he's got a lead. Oh, I bet it was ego. What a fucking racist.
So you're kind of like his red herring.
Obviously. I mean, I worked in the industry for a number of years, and here we are, back at this.
Well, just to put you at ease, we don't suspect you of anything. That's not why we're here.
Right.
Actually, we're here because your company has been doing the tests for assurance, as far as their security goes. And I just...
This seems like a line of questioning. Am I under arrest? Is there a warrant? What's your deal? Come on now. Out with it.
Well, I wanted to know more about the employee that ran the last test.
Oh, Sterling! Good boy, that boy is. He's a good boy.
So you haven't had any problems with him at all, or any reason to suspect that he might be,
Sterling follows instructions, if that's what you're asking, yes.
But he wouldn't be the kind of person that would be, trying to take this job to get knowledge.
How the hell would I? This line of questions happens all the time, and I'm so tired of it. I can't identify every person that comes in here, whether they're the right person perfectly or the wrong person. I just have to take my chances. It's a regular chances thing. You interrogate the person as much as you can. You get the answers you can. But look, this business has grown very, very quickly. I cannot keep up with the number of people that have come in, so I have to bring in these people to help me out. It's over and over and over again that I have to help out these people, and oftentimes they feel very, very useless.
That must be very frustrating, and I'm sorry if you feel that we're questioning you. We're not questioning your integrity at all. We just wanted to get a sense of what sort of person Sterling was and that sort of thing. I know you can't 100% know anybody. I mean,
I did my research on him like I'm supposed to. I'm not going to hire people on here willy-nilly. I understand that I've had a pattern for having people come in, but I really think what it comes down to is most of these people come in and they are already there. They have no background because I'm hiring them while they're very unskilled. I don't know what these people's levels of interest is, and if you haven't committed any crimes yet, I can't tell you what kind of crimes you're about to commit. I'm not a precog.
Well, certainly. I know that this probably is a bad time, seeing as how you apparently had an incident, yesterday?
We're literally talking about assurance, aren't we?
Yes. Is that what that was referring to? That assurance got broken into?
Yes,
I thought we already knew that.
I've been successful for quite a number of days without an incident.
I see. I thought that it was more like maybe you had an accident here. I'm glad everybody's okay.
Listen, perhaps you want to talk to Sterling himself then. He's here right now if you want me to go get him.
Oh, absolutely. That would be great.
Sterling! A door in the back opens. These people want to talk to you. And Ego walks past him as a rather charming looking halfling steps out of the back room. He has long golden hair, very soft green eyes. His cheeks are very kind of stern and round off in a very square jaw. And he takes a few steps in and kind of like waits for the door to close and then like leans on the door jamb.
I was just trying to see if there was anything else that stood out on him, like any like equipment or anything.
Yeah, you notice that like weirdly strapped to his waist is a small box that looks like it would fit only a deck of cards. You know, like when you see people that play Magic, but they have like deck boxes that are on their belt. It looks like that's what he's got on his belt right now.
Like carrying a USB around your neck.
Yes. It's like the telltale sign you're in the IT industry. Yeah, what's
there.
up? Hi. You're
my
a
name's
sight for
Brianna.
sore eyes.
Oh, you're
Four
cute.
eyes, excuse me? What are you saying to my friend?
You're like literal sore eyes.
Do you not get out much? Perhaps getting some more sunlight would help your vision.
I get plenty of sunlight.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I was talking to the wonderful, beautiful lady here. Perhaps I could resume that?
Oh, jeez.
Yes, hi. My name's Brianna, and I'm with the Ministry of Magic, and we're just following up on the break-in over at Assurance, and I just had a few questions for you.
Sure, go ahead. Be happy to help.
Thank you. You're very helpful.
He hasn't given us any information yet. How can you discern that whether or not he's helpful?
I'm acquiescing to her needs. Isn't that what every lady needs?
So every person that we've talked to has been very helpful to this point, then. Interesting. That doesn't seem very helpful, does it? Anyways, I apologize for interrupting.
Sterling, I noticed that you were the last one to do the inspection over at Assurance, and I just wondered, I saw that your report said everything was, okay. Was there anything that was possibly not in the report, or any kind of concern that you had regarding Assurance?
No, I'm a very thorough investigator. I took my time making sure that I went to a lot of locations they might not normally even have thought of themselves. I do some tests from a few rooftops around. I take special time to see if there's some way I could slip past their security, convince somebody of something that may not necessarily true. Oftentimes the most common place that people are going to end up missing out on things is people tend to be so self-centered, It's often much more important to think about the needs and desires of others. And so many people are so self-interested that if you can just feed them what they want to hear and get by. But Assurance hires a very good person at the front desk. They're often very disinterested in their own personal assets while they're working. They are more interested in making sure they have a job the next day, which I think personally is one of the better signs of a good employee. I think that having your needs met is an important thing to want, but it really shouldn't happen during work hours. It should happen afterwards, when it is most proper.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Okay, well, out of character real quick. So when we were looking over Assurance, there was something on the roof, wasn't there, that we noticed? Or that Elizabeth
There's magic.
noticed?
Yeah, faint magic towards the roof.
Mm-hmm.
On the back side of the building.
It was actually on another building's roof.
On another building.
Yes.
All right. I don't know where I was going with that.
That actually seems like an informal way of acquiring information, doing it not during work hours, does it not?
I'm not acquiring information during. I'm comparing their prowess during work hours, not their prowess outside of work hours. Come now, you must have been paying proper attention.
You seem like a very thorough person. So
I am very thorough. I like to make sure that whatever job I'm assigned to, I always do it as thoroughly as possible, and that all parties are involved are quite satisfied with what I've done.
Do we have adequate information to back this up? I thought we did not know much about him yet. It's hard to tell whether or not he's thorough if we have any sort of information on that.
He gestures at 3 of the signs on the wall. These are my own personal investigations I've conducted, and as you can see, not one of these 3 has had an incident. Unfortunately,
Your last one has.
You're rather curt, aren't you?
Yep.
Perhaps you could use some measure of satisfaction to help with that attitude.
Sure, but it ain't coming from you.
I'm not interested.
Do any of these names match up with match up with any of the places that have been broken into recently that we know of?
No. Not one of these other places has been broken into.
And so he just has 3?
He's only done, he only has 3 to his name right now.
Is it typical for, based on what we can see, is it typical for other people to have their name up here?
Yeah, as you look around, there's a couple of places that, have other primary names on them, and then Ego signs off as certifying their work.
So he's one of the more he appears to be one of the people that Ego's worked with more frequently than. No,
it's just more about time. Give me an investigate real quick. I want to make sure at least you're rolling, because you could put this together incorrectly, but it's pretty. Oh God, yeah, you're not putting this together at all. You're getting confused on dates as you're looking at some of these signs. So yeah, you get rather confused, and a lot of this is in it's in legalese on a lot of these signs as well.
Oh well, what a coincidence!
Ooh, so as you look through some of this, though, you'll notice that a lot of these are fairly formalized agreements to make sure that no indemnity falls back on the Society of Secrets. You notice that they are dated, a very specific date at the bottom, and they are the last time that certification happened. His dates are newer than the other dates, but that's all you can get because your investigation was pretty.
Yeah. How new is the newest date on there? Is it before? Or
no, all of his dates are within the last couple of months.
Oh, okay. So recent, but not that recent.
Yes.
So Sterling, you were talking about the employees over at Assurance. Was there anybody that stood out to you as, I don't know, being unhappy with their job or?
That place, it's very difficult to be unhappy working there. They pay quite well. We did a number of salary checks. We did a number of external lifestyle checks. None of them seem to have any extensive gambling problems. None of them have any sort of lifestyle complications that are happening. No unexpected pregnancies or personal life choices that have made life more difficult for them. Tends to be pretty straightforward there. They do very good hiring, it would appear there.
Let's see. I'm making a note. If someone else wants to
go.
This place is pretty barren otherwise.
I was mostly looking at him and trying to see if I can tell what the case you were talking about on the side of his hip is.
Yeah, it looks like it has cards in it.
Literally looks like it's actually holding a deck of cards.
The only thing that would fit in that box is a deck of maybe playing cards or something similar.
Yes, playing cards. Not cards with his information on them at all.
It's a little bigger than that.
Oh, really? Okay.
A business card would be a certain size. These look like playing card size.
Okay, so they'd probably move around too much if it was just his business cards.
Tarot cards would be bigger. Tarot cards are normally yay by yay, whereas there's what a playing card size is.
Yeah.
By the way, shameless plug for a business that's closed.
So, were any of the employees I don't know, newly hired or anything like that, like within the last month or couple months?
The front desk person's been there for a little under a year, but she was rather delightful. She has a very wonderful personality.
And she would be their newest hired, as far as you know?
Yes.
She did seem very nice.
She was. Surprised she didn't comment on how nice you were, but again, she keeps work from pleasure pretty well.
I didn't get the sense that they really appreciated the ministry getting themselves involved in this investigation.
No, particularly not. I don't think most people appreciate the ministry getting involved. You people tend to do things kind of messy.
So I've been told.
No, he's not with us at the moment.
Whom are you speaking of?
The
An
members of the
associate
ministry.
an associate of ours.
Less tactful ones.
Yes, we have a less tactful member that is otherwise engaged.
He's engaged?
She means he's
Occupied.
busy with something, I
Oh,
assume.
yes, of course, of course.
Hopefully I've been helpful so far.
Yes. I appreciate that. You know, it's difficult because I don't want to come out and say that, you know, I know that it has to be troubling whenever a place that you've certified gets broken into, and I'm not trying to in any way imply that you had anything to do with it. I'm trying to get a sense from outside of assurance because, you know, they'll tell us one thing and they may leave out, you know, details.
He leans off the wall for a moment and takes a few steps forward. You have to ask, right? If you don't ask, you just can't be certain.
Well, so she'll giggle. She'll be like, yes, indeed. So,
It'd be like taking somebody at face value for saying things, making claims about how proficient they are at things without these lovely certifications that you have. I did not notice them when I came
He
in.
gives you another, dagger glare as you make that statement.
Oh, did I say something?
You seem to be implying certain things.
No, I was just stating that, I did not notice them at first, and I was not aware that you had credentials.
I do indeed have credentials. I have quite a number of credentials.
3,
I have...
well, 2 to be exact. According to this wall, I don't know if there's other credentials. I apologize.
Tell me, what credentials do you have?
Not very many at the moment.
Well, then I think I am well more certified than you are. I think my experience speaks for itself. And if it doesn't, I could always prove to you that my experience does.
At assuring things? At making sure that places are secure? Yes, I'm not very proficient in that. That's not my forte.
At making sure that things run properly, smoothly, and pleasurably.
Are those intertwined? I don't...
I mean, if you can't run your business well, then why run your business at all? Right?
That's fair.
I can't tell if you're talking about business or you're wanting to bang my associate over here.
He turns and looks at you and, hold on. Let me see if he can hold it together.
Why are people talking about being banged?
He, gets somewhat straight-faced and looks at you and goes, I am merely talking about business. I only talk of business. It's what concerns me in these moments. It is important to know that the owners of businesses desire pleasure from their businesses, right? The monetary compensation they can acquire from the work that they do. Or maybe some of them have a personal interest or personal desire that drives them forward, that motivates them, that pulls them like horses pull a carriage in the night.
You got some
Specifically
weird
in the night?
analogies, bud.
Does the time of day really matter, or is that...
I mean, pulling a carriage at night is much more frightening than pulling a carriage during the day. You might have valuables, you putting them at greater risk while you're on the road.
More difficult to see, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Understandable.
So, Sterling, since I have to ask, is part of my job,
Mhm.
could you just tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, I recently passed my ministry certification not long ago, which is why I am here working with Sterling. I found great interest in Sterling. He is a brilliant man, albeit sometimes hard to deal with.
Wait, you mean Ego or?
I'm sorry, Ego.
Okay. Also, is his door open still? Or did
No,
he close
Ego's
it
door
when
is
he-
closed.
No, I mean Sterling when he came out. Did he close that
Sterling,
behind him?
yeah, Ego closed the door when Ego went into the back, when Sterling came forward.
Okay, I thought they were in different rooms. My apologies.
Ego has been rough to deal with at times, but he's a brilliant man. He has taught me quite a lot. I would rather have someone like him teaching me than have someone who's much more pleasant to work with teaching me. I tend to find that people who are focused tend to give you more information than those who try to sugarcoat things and make things quite sweet. You know, there's a time for enjoying sweet things, and there is a time where sourness can help you learn a lot.
Agreed.
I find that that Ego is a perfect teacher in that way. After my time with my time working with Ego, I have found that I've learned things I would not expect about what it takes to properly secure a place. I thought I knew everything I could from looking through ministry case files and doing paperwork for them. But at the end of the day, I found that lacking. I found that none of these places are probably ever properly going to secure themselves. Theft happens all the time. Problematic employees happen. People get away with casting all sorts of ridiculous spells of great power. And no one checks it.
It seems like for every way they invent to secure something, somebody finds a way around that.
Exactly.
I know that, personally, the reason I'm working for the ministry is I'm trying to get my bardic permit.
Mm-hmm.
I know that having gone through that to get your certification, that you would not want to do anything to put that in jeopardy.
Not at all.
Would you mind? I kind of was listening to what you were saying, and I wanted to put those details into a song and sing a song for you. Would you mind if I did that?
Give me another diplomacy here.
I'm trying to make an organic way for me to do my songs.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see if he can identify what your goal is here. It's a very peculiar request. I mean, I could probably oblige it under non-work conditions, but again, I don't like to mix business and pleasure.
Oh, certainly. I just, I typically get inspired by the people I meet, and I enjoy, making music and singing it for them.
I could give you quite a bit of inspiration, and I guarantee that with that inspiration, you'd make a beautiful music if you're so inclined.
That explains why you sing so frequently.
Indeed.
I don't know if this is wit out of character, having like these cringes to my level of like, I don't even know what the fuck you'd call this.
I think the
Double
cringiness is
entendre?
pretty equal in character and out of character. I think Elizabeth is standing there just like, seriously, dude? Seriously?
Well, if you ever are so inclined, I perform regularly over at, and she'll give him the name of the inn where she kind of earns her keep, so to speak. If you ever want to hear me sing.
I perhaps will see you soon then. And on that, unless anybody else has got anything to ask, we can take a short break.
Break will be good.
Cool.
Elizabeth needs a break after all
We'll
that.
be back
Like,
in a little
excuse me while I go barf out back real fast.
bit.